You want me to do a favor for you?
Yes, it does, Sandra.
No.
The director, she talked to them. They said, okay, we're going to have a break.
A single scene ended 227. Within 48 hours, production was suspended, contracts frozen, and the entire fifth season hung in limbo. And nothing was the same.
All the food in this entire refrigerator is frozen solid. What are we supposed to eat?
Oh, I'll try another repair.
The date was February 17th, 1990, Studio 3 at NBC Burbank. What began as a routine taping for episode 5, Facts 22, would trigger a chain reaction inside NBC's Standards and Practices Department. The network that had championed 227 for nearly 5 years would make a decision that no one saw coming. Why did Brandon Tartikoff, NBC's programming chief, draw a hard line that night? And how did 7 minutes of footage lead to the immediate shutdown of a show that had been a rating stalwart for the network? The internal memos, meeting minutes, and executive calls tell a story never fully revealed to the public, until now. 227 premiered on September 14, 1985, riding the momentum of Marla Gibbs's popularity from The Jeffersons. The show centered on the lives of residents in a middle-class apartment building in Washington, D.C., with Gibbs starring as the sharp-tongued but good-hearted Mary Jenkins. What made the show stand out wasn't just its humor, but its groundbreaking portrayal of everyday Black middle-class life, a perspective still rare on network television. NBC saw immediate success. According to programming notes dated October 1985, 227 captured 24.3% of the Saturday night audience share, establishing itself as a cornerstone of NBC's powerful Saturday night lineup.
Okay. Now, to start your lesson, we are going to cook a turkey.
Within a year, Jackie Harry's character, Sandra Clark, had broken out as a fan favorite, earning the actress an Emmy Award in 1987, the first for an African-American actress in the supporting actress category. The show works because it balances comedy with authenticity, wrote Warren Littlefield in a 1986 internal programming assessment. Middle America identifies with these characters regardless of background. The production team created a unique atmosphere on set. According to a 1987 production diary found in NBC archives, 227 has developed its own rhythm and culture. Marla runs a tight ship, but also fosters creativity. Thursday table reads often run long with improvisation and character refinement. Hal Williams, who played Lester Jenkins, noted in a cast interview document, "This isn't just a job, it's a weekly family reunion with the added bonus of making people laugh." By 1988, 227 had settled into its groove. The characters had deepened, the chemistry among the cast had solidified, and the show had cultivated a loyal viewership that transcended demographics. Production notes dated December 1988 indicate that NBC considered 227 one of its crown jewels in comedy programming, with remarkably stable ratings despite an increasingly competitive television landscape. By 1989, 227 had reached that rare echelon in network television, the untouchable show. Stable ratings, critical acclaim, and a loyal audience made it a dependable performer for NBC. But the television landscape was shifting rapidly. By the winter of 1990, subtle pressure began mounting on 227. Fox had emerged as a legitimate fourth network, targeting younger viewers and urban audiences. Precisely the demographics 227 had claimed for years.
I cannot go through with it. My life has been so sheltered. I think before a woman she married, she should, you know.
An NBC operations memo dated January 10, 1990 noted, Fox's In Living Color preliminary numbers showing strong sampling among 1834 demo, potential conflict with our Saturday strategy. Behind the scenes, 227 writers pushed to evolve the show beyond its apartment setting. According to writers' room notes, the team proposed more socially relevant storylines addressing issues like gentrification, workplace discrimination, and political corruption in D.C., ideas that created tension with the network's desire to maintain the show's lighthearted appeal. The older model of Black family sitcom is being challenged by more dynamic formats, read a programming assessment dated February 1, 1990. Audience expectations are evolving faster than our content. A confidential showrunner's memo dated January 18, 1990, revealed deeper tensions. Network pushing for more Sandra episodes while restricting community storylines. Creative team increasingly frustrated by content limitations while ratings pressure mounts. The memo went on to note that Marla Gibbs had expressed concerns about the show losing its soul amid network demands for safer, more formulaic content. Would you have approved the more provocative direction the writers wanted? NBC executives were divided. An advertiser relations report flagged another concern: traditional sponsors expressing hesitation about socially conscious direction, prefer established formula. Coca-Cola, a major sponsor, had specifically requested advance review of any politically charged content, according to sponsor notes. Network analysis dated January 25, 1990, revealed the demographic shifts threatening 207's position, show maintaining 35-plus audience but eroding among 18 to 34. College-educated viewers showing particular decline in Q4 1989. This presented a dangerous trajectory for a show entering what would typically be contract renegotiation season for a sixth year.
Tired apron, pot holder. Do I look like you now, Mary?
Writers' room minutes from January 29, 1990, documented a heated exchange. Discussion regarding Season 5 finale approach. Network advocating light vacation storyline. Writing staff pushing for storyline addressing Marion Barry controversy and its impact on DC residents. No consensus reached. The pressure cooker was building and something had to give. February 12, 1990, 5 days before the taping. The writer's room delivered script for 122, tentatively titled Mary Takes a Stand. The episode centered on Mary Jenkins organizing a tenant protest after discovering the building owner had political ties to apartheid South Africa, a hot-button issue in 1990. The Standards and Practices Department immediately flagged the script. Political content exceeds parameter guidelines for primetime comedy, read the note from Janet Fishman, head of Standards. Recommend substantial revision before clearance. Head writer Joseph Hargrove pushed back. According to meeting minutes, he argued, "We've earned the right to take creative risks. The audience will follow if the story's honest." A compromise was reached. The apartheid reference would be removed, but the episode could still feature a tenant protest over the building owner's unethical business dealings. The revised script cleared Standards and Practices on February 14th, just 3 days before taping. Production notes from February 15th reveal behind-the-scenes tensions. Cast table read subdued. Marla expressed concerns about dilution of storyline. Jackie questioned whether her character would really remain apolitical given the circumstances. The notes further mentioned that Hal Williams had suggested that his character Lester should take a more central role in the protest storyline, arguing that a black man in 1990 wouldn't stand on the sidelines during a justice issue. Set design logs dated February 16 document the creation of protest signs and banners. Standard approved messaging only, fair housing, tenant rights, etc. Explicit political messaging removed per S&P directive. Costume notes indicated a subtle shift. Mary's wardrobe adjusted to more formal, authoritative look for rally scene. Sandra's typical flashy attire toned down to reflect episode's serious tone. But what happened next wasn't in any approved script.
You have a fiancé? Well, when did this happen? When I was 4.
On the morning of February 17th, just hours before the live audience would arrive, Marla Gibbs requested a meeting with the director and producers. According to production notes, she felt the revised script had been neutered and proposed restoring some of the political elements, including a powerful monologue she had written herself. "Let's shoot both versions," suggested director Oz Scott, according to control room logs. "The network version and Marla's take. We'll decide in post." Technical preparation notes show that the lighting director was instructed to create a more dramatic, almost cinematic look for the rally scene, something distinct from our typical sitcom lighting. Sound engineering logs indicate microphone positioning was adjusted to capture audience reaction clearly during the protest scene. At 7:14 p.m., the audience was seated. At 7:32 p.m., taping began. And by 9:06 p.m., a scene had been captured that would never make it to air, but would change everything. Studio 3 falls silent. The familiar apartment set of 227 looks different tonight. Signs and banners lean against furniture. "Fair housing, not fear housing," reads one. People over profit, reads another. The camera begins on a close-up of Mary Jenkins' face, more serious than we've ever seen her. The studio lights have been adjusted, creating dramatic shadows across her features. She stands on a chair in the middle of her living room, surrounded by building residents. For 5 years, we've paid our rent on time, Mary begins, her voice measured but forceful. For 5 years, we've called this place home, and now we learn that every dollar we've paid has been funding a system that treats human beings as less than human. The camera pulls back slowly, revealing the full apartment. Jackie Harry's character Sandra stands to her right, for once not playing for laughs. Lester, Mary's husband, looks on with concern. The camera catches Pearl nodding solemnly, her usual comic cynicism replaced with dignified resolve. Rose stands with arms folded, her posture communicating solidarity. They tell us to stay in our place, Mary continues, her voice rising. They tell us some fights are too big for people like us. Well, I say our place is on the right side of history. I say no fight is too big when it's about human dignity. The studio audience, initially unsure how to react to this dramatic shift in tone, has fallen completely silent. The camera moves to a slow tracking shot, circling the assembled residents as Mary's voice grows more impassioned. When our children ask us what we did when we learned the truth, I want my answer to be clear, Mary says, looking directly into the camera. I stood up. We all stood up.
Well, Mary, I don't like this either. But you don't want to end up owing a $15,000 repair bill, do you?
But Sandra pretended to be me. Oh,
She steps down from the chair, moving closer to her neighbors. The lighting shifts subtly, casting a warm glow that contrasts with the harsh shadows from moments before. This isn't just about an apartment building anymore, Mary continues. This is about who we are as a community, as a city, as a country. She pauses, then delivers the line that would never make it past editing. Because staying silent about apartheid today is no different than staying silent about slavery yesterday. The control booth erupts. According to the audio engineer's log, multiple voices can be heard overlapping. Did she just say, "That's not in the script"? Are we still rolling? Sandra steps forward, placing a hand on Mary's shoulder. According to the unedited footage log, Jackie Harry delivered an unscripted line. For once, Mary, I don't have a joke. Just count me in. This moment of character growth, Sandra choosing substance over style, elicited audible gasps from the audience. Lester moves to Mary's other side and delivers his line as written. We'll probably face consequences for this. Then departing from the script, he adds, but there are worse things than consequences. There's complicity. Director Oz Scott calls cut as executive producer Michael Warren rushes from behind the monitors. The audience, after a moment of stunned silence, begins applauding. Slowly at first, then building to a standing ovation that continues for nearly 2 minutes, according to the taping log. The floor manager signals for the applause sign to be turned off, but the audience continues regardless. 3 network executives can be seen huddled in urgent conversation near the studio exit. According to control room logs, NBC's on-set representative immediately called the network office. The timestamp reads 9:12 p.m. Within 2 hours of the taping's conclusion, an emergency conference call connected executive offices in Burbank and New York.
What you want, Sandra? Hi, Lester. Man. Let's bury the hatchet. Our team made almost 1,000.
Brandon Tartikoff, then president of NBC Entertainment, received a detailed account of the unauthorized scene. This crosses a line between entertainment and activism, stated a memo time-stamped 11:42 p.m. from Standards and Practices. The explicit apartheid reference violates both our internal guidelines and our advertiser agreements. By 9 a.m. the following morning, February 18th, NBC had suspended post-production on the episode. According to production office notes, editors were instructed not to assemble any cut of the footage until further notice. A legal department brief dated February 18th, 8:47 a.m. outlined potential contract issues. Performer Contracts Section 12.4 prohibits unauthorized script revisions. However, Gibbs's contract contains a modified creative input clause that may provide some latitude. Recommend immediate review. Network security logs show that the raw footage was moved from the standard editing bay to a secure storage facility at 10:15 a.m., with access restricted to senior executives only. The cast arrived on February 19th to find the studio doors locked, with a sign reading simply, "Production on hiatus, further information forthcoming." Hal Williams later recalled in a 1995 interview with Jet magazine, "We knew something serious had happened when our keycard stopped working. 5 years on a show, and suddenly you're standing in the parking lot with security saying they can't let you in." At 2:30 p.m. that same day, NBC executives convened in Conference Room 7A of the Burbank facility. Meeting minutes revealed the central conflict: tension between creative integrity and corporate responsibility, political speech versus entertainment mandate.
Look at you. You're gorgeous.
Sandra, you were always the prettier one.
Marla Gibbs and her representatives insisted the scene was within her character's established values. "Mary Jenkins has always stood for justice," her statement read. "This is a natural evolution, not a deviation." Her representatives submitted a formal position to NBC on February 19th at 4:15 p.m. Ms. Gibbs's contractual creative input provisions allow for character-consistent improvisation. The content in question represents Mary Jenkins's authentic voice and is consistent with the show's established themes of community activism. NBC executives disagreed. According to internal notes, they saw the episode as setting a dangerous precedent for political advocacy within entertainment programming. By the end of day 2, the standoff had reached the highest levels of the network. On February 20th, 1990, at precisely 10:15 a.m., NBC conducted an emergency call with the show's major sponsors. The transcript reveals immediate concerns. "Our company cannot be associated with explicit political positions on international affairs," stated the Procter & Gamble representative. "Our audience spans all political viewpoints." Coca-Cola's position was even firmer. "We have significant business interests that could be impacted by association with content critical of South African policy. This represents a breach of our sponsorship agreement." Within hours, 3 major sponsors had threatened to pull not just from 227, but from NBC's entire Saturday night lineup. Financial analysis dated February 20th, 3:30 p.m., calculated potential revenue impact at $425.7 million for Q2 1990 if sponsor withdrawal occurred. The Standards and Practices Department issued a comprehensive review by 4 p.m. that same day. "The scene in question violates Section 4.2.1 of our broadcast standards regarding political advocacy in entertainment programming," the report noted. "No precedent exists for allowing such content in a primetime comedy format."
I'm used to it. It's my persona. Looks, brain, sensuality. It's all a curse.
A separate production cost analysis calculated that editing around the scene would require substantial reshoot at approximately $157,000, plus potential contract penalty clauses if certain performers declined to participate in modified version. What would you have done in NBC's position? Stand by creative expression or protect sponsor relationships? Internal polling conducted among junior executives showed 68% favored attempting to salvage the episode through editing, while senior leadership leaned 72% towards shelving the episode entirely. The network faced a decision that would define its approach to controversial content for years to come. By February 21st, 1990, news of the production shutdown had leaked to the entertainment press. Variety ran the headline, "NBC freezes 227 over content dispute." The response was immediate and polarized. The Creative Artists Guild issued a statement supporting Gibbs and the show's writers. "Networks cannot claim to value diverse voices while simultaneously silencing those voices when they speak uncomfortable truths." The entertainment press quickly seized on the controversy. A daily Variety follow-up on February 22nd quoted anonymous sources. "This isn't just about one scene. It's about whether Black creators can address Black issues on network television." NBC attempted damage control. According to an internal communication strategy dated February 20, "Position this as a schedule reassessment, not a content dispute. Emphasize our commitment to the show's legacy." Meanwhile, cast members found themselves unable to speak publicly due to contract clauses. A private memo from Jack A. Harry's representatives questioned, "Is this temporary, or is NBC using this incident to make a larger programming shift?" The February 23rd edition of the Los Angeles Times Entertainment section featured an analysis piece, the 227 situation, where networks draw the line.
I see I got my work cut out for me. You just take it easy and relax. I'll go get my beginner's book for you.
The article noted that multiple sources confirmed the dispute centers on a scene addressing South African apartheid, a topic network television has largely avoided despite its prominence in public discourse. The untold and several civil rights organizations announced plans to monitor the situation, particularly after rumors circulated that NBC might replace 227 with programming less politically charged. A confidential network assessment dated February 24th noted, situation evolving from content dispute to public relations challenge. Civil rights organizations' involvement elevates risk profile. On February 25, 1990, NBC officially announced that 227 would go on extended hiatus while the network reevaluated its Saturday night strategy. The press release carefully avoided mentioning the controversial scene, instead focusing on evolving audience preferences and programming optimization. Industry insiders immediately recognized the language as network code for a show in trouble. This wasn't the first time 227 had pushed boundaries. According to Writers' Room notes from 1988, an episode addressing redlining practices in banking had been significantly revised after network concerns. A 1989 episode touching on workplace discrimination had been moved from its usual time slot to a later hour. Production archives reveal a pattern of increasing content friction. Notes from a March 1988 meeting documented early tensions. Network concerned about episode 312, Mary's Protest, references to housing discrimination, revised to focus on individual landlord rather than systemic issues. A December 1988 memo from the head writer to the producers expressed frustration. Third script revision requested on Lester's promotion episode. Network uncomfortable with workplace racism subplot. Suggestions to make antagonists more sympathetic undermine the point.
Sandra, it is only 4 o'clock. What is this? And what do you think you're doing?
Oh, don't mind me, Mary.
What made the apartheid episode different was timing. The global political landscape had shifted dramatically. Nelson Mandela had been released from prison just 1 week before the taping on February 11, 1990, after 27 years of imprisonment. South African politics had moved from abstract foreign policy to front-page news. A network analysis dated February 26, 1990, acknowledged the context. Mandela's release has elevated South African politics to unprecedented prominence. Content that might have been manageable months ago now carries heightened sensitivity. The television landscape was changing too. Fox's In Living Color would premiere in April 1990, offering a more provocative take on racial and political issues through sketch comedy. NBC executives feared being caught between appearing too controversial for traditional viewers and too tame for the emerging audience. An internal competitive analysis dated February 28, 1990 noted, Fox positioning to capture younger, urban, politically engaged viewers. Traditional networks face impossible balance of maintaining broad audience while remaining culturally relevant. We're in an impossible position, wrote one NBC executive in a private assessment dated March 3, 1990. The show that worked in 1985 can't work the same way in 1990, but transitioning to a new model carries unacceptable risk. The same assessment continued with a broader industry observation. The 227 situation exemplifies the fundamental tension in network television. How do we evolve content to reflect changing social awareness while maintaining the broad audience that advertisers demand? A scheduling department analysis added another layer. Saturday 8 p.m. traditionally family viewing hour. Political content more acceptable in later time slots or on weeknights. Show concept fundamentally misaligned with time period expectations. As the standoff continued into early March, cast reactions varied widely. Production office phone logs documented the divided response. Marla Gibbs maintained her position. Her representatives issued a statement on March 2nd. Ms. Gibbs stands by her artistic choices and believes the network's response demonstrates precisely why the scene was necessary. Hal Williams, according to his agent's communications, supported Gibbs but expressed concern about the show's future. Hal believes in the material but questions if this was the right moment to take this stand. Jackie Harry's representatives took a more pragmatic approach. Internal notes from a March 4 call documented her position.
Yeah, so let's get right down to it. How's your love life?
I be blush, but I be tell you all about it.
Ooh, this sounds good.
Willing to shoot alternate version if it saves the show, but won't publicly oppose Marla's stance. Regina King, who played Brenda Jenkins, was caught in a particularly difficult position. As a younger cast member, network executives believed she might help broker a compromise. A March 5 memo noted, R. King expresses understanding of both creative and business concerns. Potential intermediary? What if NBC had allowed the episode to air as taped? Network analysts conducted this very assessment in March 1990. According to their projection, initial controversy would likely drive increased viewership for 1 to 2 episodes. However, sponsor withdrawal would force time slot change or format revision. The analysis continued with specific metrics. Projected 3 to 5-point ratings increase for episode in question, followed by potential 2 to 3-point decline once controversy subsides. Sponsor revenue impact estimated at $2.3 or $3.1 million for remainder of season.
I'm just feeling a little alone.
Oh, Sandra, you're not alone.
You got Lester, Kathy has Jim.
Some executives argued the network could have positioned itself ahead of the cultural curve, establishing NBC as a platform willing to engage with meaningful issues through its entertainment programming. A forward-thinking junior executive wrote in a March 10 memo, "This could position NBC as the network willing to engage with real issues. The audience is changing. Television should reflect that change, not resist it." Others maintain that allowing one show to cross established boundaries would create impossible precedents across all programming. Every producer with a political agenda would cite 227 as justification, noted a programming executive. The legal department weighed in on March 12th. Allowing explicit political content in one show weakens our position in maintaining content standards across all programming. Creates significant precedent, challenges. Had the episode aired, 227 might have reinvented itself for the changing times, but the network determined the risks outweighed the potential rewards. As March progressed, the standoff showed no signs of resolution. According to internal communications, Marla Gibbs refused to reshoot the scene with altered dialogue, maintaining that the original version represented her character's authentic voice. On March 18th, NBC reached out to Gibbs's representatives with a final proposal. The controversial episode would be shelved, but production would resume on 3 final episodes to conclude the season properly.
Just give it a try.
I just don't want it to go too far.
Mop.
The proposal included an option for season 6 renewal with revised content parameters. According to her agent's notes, Gibbs declined the offer on March 20th. Cannot agree to content restrictions that fundamentally alter the show's integrity. 5 years of trust should have earned some creative latitude. On March 25th, 1990, NBC executives made their final decision. Production would not resume on season 5. The remaining completed episodes would air, and a decision on the show's future would be announced during the May upfronts. On April 28, 1990, NBC officially announced the cancellation of 227 after 5 seasons. The official statement cited evolving programming strategies and thanked the cast and crew for 5 wonderful years. No mention was made of the unaired episode or the political content dispute. The show's final episodes aired through May 1990, concluding with previously filmed material that avoided controversy. The apartheid episode was logged into NBC's vault, never to be broadcast or acknowledged officially.
I don't love you.
Well, it's no secret. You never loved me as much as you love the others.
In subsequent years, 227 cast members occasionally referenced the dispute in interviews. Marla Gibbs, speaking to Jet magazine in 1993, stated, "Sometimes standing for something means sacrificing everything. I don't regret that scene for a moment." Jackie Harry, in a 1994 Emmy magazine interview, offered a more nuanced view. "It was complicated. We all believed in what we were saying, but we also loved the show and wanted it to continue. That tension between speaking out and staying on air, that's something Black performers have navigated forever." Hal Williams reflected in a 1995 television retrospective, "That scene represented a moment when television could have evolved. Instead, it became a lesson in how networks define acceptable discourse. Regina King, whose career flourished after 227, noted in a 2000 interview, "Looking back, I see how that moment shaped my understanding of the industry. There are boundaries, and crossing them has consequences, but sometimes those consequences are worth it." The television landscape did indeed change. The 1990s saw the emergence of shows like A Different World, Rock, and In Living Color that more directly engaged with social and political issues. By 1992, the boundaries 227 attempted to cross had become relatively standard territory for network television. A 1996 UCLA Film School analysis of the incident noted, "The 227 apartheid episode represents a pivotal moment in network television's relationship with political content. Within 5 years, much of what was deemed too controversial had become commonplace."
Dale.
Dale?
D-A-A-O.
Network standards evolved as well. A 1997 NBC Internal Content Guideline revision specifically addressed political content. Consideration should be given to the changing nature of audience expectations regarding social commentary and entertainment programming. When 227 entered syndication in 1991, the episode guide contained a notable gap. Episode 5 Hours 22 was listed simply as unaired. Fan communities speculated about the missing content, eventually uncovering the broad outlines of what had occurred. In 1999, during a television history symposium, Brandon Tartikoff reflected, "In retrospect, we were caught at a transitional moment. The old rules were changing, but the new rules weren't yet established. The 227 situation forced us to confront that reality sooner than we were prepared to." In the streaming era, 227 has found new audiences who discover the show without knowledge of its controversial conclusion. The show appears in syndication and on streaming platforms, though always with the conspicuous absence of an episode that never made it to air. Media scholars continue to cite the 227 incident as a case study in network censorship and evolving content standards.
I just need to make a few cosmetic alterations to your decor for my little soiree.
Now,
Mary, all my get-togethers have a theme.
yes, I know, bachelor party.
A 2015 academic paper in the Journal of Broadcasting and Electronic Media described it as a flashpoint in the evolution of political content in network sitcoms, representing both the limitations of the format and its untapped potential. The scene that changed everything lasted 7 minutes in Studio 3. Its impact on network television would last decades. In the end, it wasn't about ratings or trends. It was about a line that, once crossed, revealed how tenuous the relationship between creativity and commerce truly was.